Well, the war on cash continues. This time it is Bank West. They just announced they're going to close 3 more branches in WA, which incidentally is the only state left in which they still have a physical presence. For crying out loud, how does a major Australian bank, they service 1.1 million people across our nation, just get to be like, yeah, no, we're not doing cash anymore. It's just not a thing. Now, my first question whenever this comes up is, who asked for this? How dare they take cash off us? But people, we are kind of doing this to ourselves. The stats show that in 2018, we were using digital payments for just $79 million worth of transactions. Nothing. A paltry sum, sorry, $747 million, but that's still a paltry sum in the year 2018. Fast forward to 2022, that figure is now 93 billion. So the banks are simply going, you know what? Why would we bother when the people are voting with their feet? If this isn't a reminder, withdraw cash, use cash, keep it in circulation, because we all know certain people in our world have a very real agenda to just get rid of it altogether. And right now, we're validating those decisions by opting for convenience.
The funny thing about this situation is if you read what's happening around the Western world, the use of cash is down, but demand for cash is up. So a lot of people are hoarding cash, and I'll give you one word as to explain why. Optus. Remember when Optus went down and all of a sudden no one could buy a coffee? You couldn't do anything. Shopkeepers couldn't trade.
Yep.
And that's the big problem with going digital is it doesn't allow for a cyber attack. It doesn't allow for war. It doesn't allow for just technical glitches. And all of a sudden, if that happens, you're completely screwed. You can't trade, can't buy or sell.
It makes you completely beholden to the technology. And as you say, there was data out of the Reserve Bank last week that showed the demand for $50 and $100 notes had gone up significantly in the last few years, but none of these notes are in circulation. So people are clearly going home and putting them under the bed. And I'm sure some of us remember stories of people, supposedly hoarding their money under the mattress because they didn't trust the banks. But it's actually happening. And I'm not surprised people are doing that, because not only does it make you beholden to technology, it leaves a record of everything that you have done. And this is the number one argument. And this is, I'm going to tell you right now, if you might say, I'm not all that worried about it. I love being able to tap my thing. Look, blokes, if you want to go to the pub on Saturday and have a punt and you don't want your wife to know about it, you need cash in order to do it.
Of course, this would be the argument you think of, Caleb Bond.
If you want to buy a six-pack and you don't want your wife to know about it, you need cash in order to do it. And ladies, if you want to go and buy a handbag and you don't want your husband to know about it, you need cash in order to do it. Otherwise, it's going to turn up on the bank statement. There is all the reason you need in the world to start getting cash out again, because you're going to need it at some point. Sorry. But they keep trying to force us into it because, as you say, Liz, they want the records and they want the control.
Absolutely.
What you need, and unfortunately it's never going to happen, is a government that is brave enough to say to banks, because they operate in a highly regulated sector for a reason, because if banks fell over here in the same way that they do in the US, we'd be in big trouble. But we have a highly regulated, highly supported banking sector. That ought to cut both ways. There is an agreement that the government protects the banking sector for the good of the country, but that ought to come with an agreement from the banks that they keep branches open.